Good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you're located. My name is Steve Jones, and I'm a brokerage director here at BGA Insurance. I want to thank you for joining us today. I know that your time is very valuable, so my goal is to keep the meeting under 20 minutes in respect of your time. First off, a little background about myself. I have been in the insurance industry for over 25 years, and I've worked on both the insurance carrier side and also on the general agency side. So, for the lack of a better term, I've sat on both sides of the table. I've held regional group manager positions for a few group insurance carriers responsible for managing multiple state territories. And for the last 10 years, I've worked on the general agency side of the business, specializing in individual insurance products. BGA Insurance, we are a full service general agency located in Costa Mesa, California. We do work with brokers all throughout the country. We specialize in life insurance, both term and permanent, annuities, fixed index annuities, and MIGAs, long-term care, and also disability insurance, including individual disability products, business overhead expense, key person, disability buyout, and loan protection plans. We do represent and work with over 60 of the leading insurance carriers. We have excellent relationships with them. We're able to get on a phone call with an executive or an underwriter if need be in order to get a decision made. We're also very fortunate to have in-house experienced and knowledgeable case managers, and they're the ones that really drive the show for us here. They help us help our brokers get applications submitted, help us get the application submitted correctly. If any paramedics need to be ordered, they'll handle that. Uh, Telephone interviews, medical records, etc. And they're going to work with the carrier's underwriters all throughout the process. They're going to keep you updated on a regular basis with the goal of getting your client approved for coverage, getting the policy issued, and also getting you paid. On a daily basis, I work with all type of financial professionals, including independent agents, financial advisors, property and casualty brokers, employee benefit specialists, and also medical and Medicare brokers. Now, some of these brokers might write one case with me a year, some might write one case a month, and some might write one case a week. It's really all across the board as far as that goes. Now, if you joined me a few weeks ago, I discussed some sales analogy related to permanent life insurance. Now, today, I'm going to be sharing some ideas related to marketing to small business owners. It's been my experience that some financial professionals don't call on business owners because they just don't feel comfortable, having those conversations, or they think maybe the products or the types of coverages are a little bit too complicated. Now, if we were in the same room together, I would ask by a show of hands, how many of you have business owner clients? And then I would ask, how many of you would like to have more business owner clients? And I think that would be everybody, joining us on the call today. Today, I'm going to share some basic sales concepts and ideas that will hopefully, make it easier for you to have those conversations. And if you have current, business owner clients, better service them. Or if you don't, help you build that block of business and increase your revenue. Here's some stats that can be very easily found online. There are approximately 5 million small businesses in businesses that employ less than 20 people. If you add in self-employed people, that's going to bring it up to 30,000. Excuse me, 30 million. So that's a big opportunity that I see for us, and this amounts to about approximately 90% of all businesses and about 20% of workers. So large companies get called on all the time by insurance agents. Smaller companies not so much. And like I said, I see this as an excellent opportunity for both you and also for us here at BGA Insurance. Now, today I'm going to kind of flip the script and talk about a type of protection that many small business owners might not know exists. And the primary reason they don't know it exists is nobody's bringing it to their attention. And that is business overhead expense insurance. It's designed to reimburse business expenses in order to help keep a business running if the owner of the business is unable to work due to an injury or an illness. But before I get into too much detail on the product, I'm going to go to the next slide. One of the biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge I see in talking about whether it's disability insurance or overhead expense coverage, is establishing the need for coverage, right? Nobody thinks something, when they think of disability, they think of something catastrophic. That's not something that happens to me, and hopefully it won't. It is something that happens to somebody else. But I think all of us know someone that, for whatever reason, have been out of work for an extended period of time due to an illness, due to some type of injury. Now, here's some basic stats. You can find these a lot of different places as well. 1 in 4 20-year-olds entering the workforce today will become disabled at one time during their career prior to retirement. Now, that's 25%. But if that happens to one of your clients, that 25% is 100%. Now, a lot of people think of, most disabilities are caused by accidents. And as we can see here, accidents are only related to about 10% of disabilities. The majority are, back injuries, cancer, heart attacks, strokes, other types of illnesses instead of, injuries. So that's 90% of disabilities are related to non-accident related conditions. And the average duration of a claim is over 2.5 years. You'll get a little pushback from time to time. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Broker, I don't really have any dangerous activities. I have a safe job, safe hobbies. But as we see here, majority of the claims are not related to injuries. They're related to more illnesses. Now, I always find it's good to have some questions to ask for me, to ask brokers, and for my brokers to ask to their clients. So here's a list of 5 questions you might want to share with your clients or your prospects. Um, would the business be able to continue paying the bills if one of the owner or the owners become disabled and not able to work? How dependent is the business on the owner's daily involvement in generating revenue? Does the company have enough money to cover ongoing expenses during a prolonged absence? And would the loss of the owner disrupt business operations? And last, are there any key employees that can step in and help in that regards? Now, it wasn't too long ago that a lot of agents were making a good living writing overhead expense coverage and disability insurance. It's also been my experience that with business owners, especially small business owners, that their business, that's their baby. They've worked hard to start the business, to develop their business, and they will do anything possible to help make that business successful. And even though a lot of small business owners are not aware this type of coverage is available, I know that many of them have probably woken up at night thinking, what would happen to my business if I'm out of work for a few days, a few months, or longer. Yeah, small business owners have a tough time taking off a long weekend, much less being out of work for an extended period of time. And if they are out of work, those bills are still coming in, and it's going to have a negative impact, unfortunately, on the business, right? Owners out, employees start talking, well, I heard that so and so might not be coming back to work. They might go across the street to a competitor, or customers, they call in and they get a answer, well, so and so's out of the office, for a couple of more weeks, they get concerned and they take their, business elsewhere. Now, hopefully, with this coverage, the business keeps running. They're able to come back to work and the business is still running. But let's say, maybe they're not going to recover. Maybe they're going to be out of work for a lot longer than they anticipated, and they might have to sell the business. Well, if the employees are gone and the customers are gone, they're going to have to sell that business for not for what it's worth, not for the hard work they put into it, but they're going to have to sell for pennies on the dollar. Now, the purpose of overhead expense coverage, like I mentioned, is to keep a business running. If a business owner is out of work due to an illness or an injury, it's a reimbursement contract that is used to pay for the business expenses that are incurred. And here's some of the typical expenses. There's rent or lease payments on the property. A big one is employee salary and also employee benefits. Employees are being paid, they're more likely to stay and not go elsewhere. You got the utility bills, phone bill, power bill, etc. You got property insurance. You have liability insurance, malpractice for doctors and dentists, other business insurance types of premiums, and also let's say you're a sole practitioner and you're a dentist, right? And you're going to be out of work. There's also carriers that we work with that will pay a benefit to help bring in a dentist to keep your client service while you're recovering, and them not going to establish a relationship with a new dentist. Now, here's some forms that if you reach out to me, I can send to you. The form on the left is a form that you can share with your clients. It's a flyer related to business overhead expense. Form on the right is a form that we developed for brokers that some find useful when gathering their clients' information for us to prepare, proposals for them. So like I said, reach out to me and I can get those over to you. Ideal clients for overhead expense coverage: small business owners where the owners are very essential to the daily operations of the business, owners of service-based businesses, owners without partners or anybody that could back up if they're not working, and also solo practitioners like doctors, dentists, attorneys, accountants, and architects. Here's some other type of coverages available kind of within this realm. Individual disability insurance. Most self-employed people do not have any type of coverage, so that might be a good fit for that. I'm going to go through this a little bit quick because I'm running a little bit behind here. We have disability buyout, which protects the business in case of long-term disability of an owner under a buy-sell agreement. Key person coverage, you got somebody that's very important to run the business. They go out disabled. It provides funds for you to hire a new employee if that need be. And also loan protection. I'm seeing a lot more lenders these days. When somebody takes out a loan, they require proof of life insurance as collateral and also proof of disability insurance coverage as collateral in order to secure the loan. Now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about some basic ideas related to a buy-sell agreement. Buy-sell agreement is a contract that outlines an owner's share of the business will be transferred if they separate from the business due to a life event. That could be a death, disability, or retirement. And also establishes who can buy ownership interest and how the business will be valued. And life insurance is one way to fund a buy-sell agreement. A few questions to ask, and I'm sorry I'm going fast. I'm running a little bit longer there than I anticipated, so I do apologize there. A few questions to ask your clients regarding a buy-sell agreement is: what would happen to your business if one of the owner dies? Do the current owners agree on how the business will be valued? Are there any restrictions on who can purchase the business if one of the owners does pass away, or who will inherit the business? And is there agreement enforced and a funding mechanism if that were to take place? And would the departure of any owner create any financial management or operational issues. I'd venture to say that if they don't have an agreement in place, the first few would be a no, and the last one would be yes. It would definitely have an impact on the business. Primary purpose for a buy-sell agreement is to prevent uncertainty and potential conflicts. Without an agreement in place, with the death of an owner, it can create a lot of complications. Family members of the deceased owner might inherit a share of the business, and even though they don't have any experience in that business, they might come in and start, wanting to take control of the company. The remaining owners might have difficulty raising money to buy out the deceased owner's share of the business, and they could struggle to maintain the operations of the business. So this legal agreement helps alleviate and eliminate some of these uncertainties. Basic parts of a buy-sell agreement will include the parties of the agreement. So that's going to be the business, the owners of the business, and their share of the ownership. What are the triggering events for the buy-sell agreement? That could be the death of an owner, the disability of an owner, or retirement of one of the owners. And then, how much, is the company worth? It helps establish what the company's worth that all the different parties to the agreement can agree upon. And then where are the funds coming from? Instance here, it could be funded by a life insurance policy. And then, what type of valuation method would be used to determine the value of the business. Some of the most common buy-sell agreements are a cross-purchase agreement where each owner enters into the agreement with the other partners to purchase their interests if there's a death or disability. Entity purchase agreement where each owner enters into a written agreement with the business itself to sell the business interest in case there's a triggering event. Quick recap here. It's going to help establish a buyer in the case of a death or disability of an owner, ensures an orderly transition of the ownership of the business, hopefully avoids conflict between the surviving owners and the deceased owner's family, establishes a fair price for the business interest in terms of sale to all parties, and also, encourages confidence in the ongoing vitality of the business in the eyes of the customers and also the employees and also their creditors. Now, I'm running late here, so the last topic, long-term care, I think I will move that to a different date. So be on the lookout for an invitation to a future meeting. And in closing, hopefully you found this 20 minutes to be very beneficial. If you're not currently having conversations with business owners, clients, hopefully we share some ideas that you might find beneficial to you. Also, remember, we're here to support you when opportunities arise with your clients and your prospect. We have the tools to help, whether it's a sales idea, information regarding products, preparing illustrations. Thank you for joining us today. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question, Steve.
Yes, sir.
So to participate with you guys, are you guys a captive agent? Are we kind of still just working out some kind of agreement to submit with certain carriers? How does the structure work with partnering with you guys?
Yeah, that's one of the questions I get asked most often. And you're an independent agent, and we try to earn your business. I mean, those are your clients. We become, for the lack of a better term, your back office when opportunities arise with your clients for life insurance, annuities, long-term care, or disability insurance. You're under no obligation to us. We really have to earn your business. And hopefully you work with us, you see the value with what we're bringing to you and your clients, and you continue to work with us. You're compensated directly by the insurance carrier that you place the business with.
Okay,
So
yeah.
you're under no obligation.
Who are some of the carriers, some of your go-to core carriers you're working with?
Just off the top of my head, John Hancock, Nationwide, Mutual of Omaha, Symetra, Securian, just off the top of my head would be a few. But like I said, it's over 60 carriers. Now we
Nice.
represent over 60. We're not going to write, as a
Right.
broker, you're not going to write with all the carriers, but we do have a lot of options for you because every situation is different, right? Our
Yeah.
goal is to help, put you in the best position possible so that you can put your client in the
So
best position
so
possible.
we would be moving appointments over
Yeah,
for,
if you
for
might have an
whatever.
appointment with a carrier now, we could help get you a new, agent number assigned if you see fit.
To
So
write it through you. Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Appreciate you.
Like I said,
Thank
no
you, Steve.
obligations. You're not signing any contracts. We're trying to earn your business.
Gotcha. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Steve, I'm going to jump in and answer a little bit more of that. So it's from A to Z in carriers. It's Allianz, Banner, Corbridge, Columbus, Hancock, Lincoln, Mass Mutual, National Life, Nationwide. We've got 65 different carriers. Most carriers allow anyone to have dual contracts. And as Steve said, he can earn the business and show you how well he can do on every one of these carriers. Very few
Okay.
do you have to have one contract with. Allianz is a good example of that. And if you haven't placed business with a carrier, like, excuse me, in 6 months, then you're free to move. But
Right.
whoever you
But
choose to work with,
dual contracting is not uncommon.
not uncommon at all.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate the question. Well, thank you, everyone. Please feel free to reach out. I'm here to support you, and I really appreciate your time today. I hope all you guys have a great day and look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you,
Take care,
Steve.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve.
Okay.
See you guys.